Hi everyone, this is Shane Mitchell and you've reached How for Men Talk. Today we've got Gareth in the studio and wow, I think we've covered some really good issues in here. Links from sport to the drinking culture in rugby and how it's misinterpreted, misunderstood. One of the big things that Gareth gets off his chest, really grateful that he opened up on, was gambling addiction. How that affected him, his life, his family. Most of these interviews, they're only as good as the people that open up and talk. Take a listen to how Gareth dealt with it. Tell me what you think as always, like and subscribe, and enjoy. Hi, I'm Shane Mitchell. This is How for Men Talk, and we have Gareth in the studio. Welcome, Gareth.
Hi, mate. You all right?
I'm good. Thanks for coming.
Anytime.
Yeah, how was the traffic?
Yeah, terrible, mate. Chock-a-block all the way down. I actually drove as well. I couldn't be bothered to walk.
You lazy kid. Right, let's get into it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for coming today. The first question I ask everyone, what does mental health mean to you?
Means various things. It's mental health is, to me, is strength in dealing with day-to-day life, work, family, kids, stresses, finances. You know, it's if you're not strong mentally, you deal with things in the wrong way and you do more damage, I think. So, and that's in all manner of aspects. If you don't deal with the problem at work, things escalate and damages your career. Same with family. If you leave things unsaid, things get worse, and that's when the problems arise.
Yeah.
I think as well, the generation we're from, we were the last of, like, virtually the last of the era of suck up. Men don't cry, boys don't cry. So we never got taught how to deal with it properly, especially coming into the new era of feelings. We're like the cusp of, like we were the cusp of the internet generation.
Yeah.
We're the cusp of the mental health generations. You know, back when we were teenagers, it was suck it up, get a pint in you, play football, play rugby, take it out, go on the piss with have 10 pints.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Do it again next week.
Do it again next week.
And that was how you dealt with it. What part would you say sport has played or is playing in your life?
Massive. So growing up, rugby was a massive part of my life, still is, for 20 years. It took up a majority of my time, from training in the week to weekends, playing away, travelling on a coach with the lads all weekend and going out and having fun. And the only thing you cared about was Saturday night, getting pissed.
Being with the boys.
Being with the boys and seeing if we get that girl's number or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like getting the win on the Saturday and win or lose on the booze, but that beer tasted sweeter with a big W.
Rugby for me, like, it's quite a masculine sport. One of the questions I asked Robin the other day was, in rugby, can mental health and talking coincide together? Be masculine and talk about their feelings.
100%, because I watched a really good documentary about the World Cup England team and how many of the players at the time and afterwards were going through some serious mental health issues. And looking at it in 20 years, from what they dealt with to how it's perceived now, it's a lot more open and they're leading the way for the modern players.
And I think, especially with masculine sports like rugby, the more and more people, you know, high profile athletes are coming out and saying, yeah, I struggle and this is how I deal with it. So for the younger generation, look up and see the likes of Joe Marler.
Yeah.
He's quite heavy into it, isn't he?
Joe Marler's a good one. Tyndall, Haskell, Phil Rickery, Lawrence Devalio, they're all pushing. They're putting the foundations in for the future generations, but they're actually repairing the bridges that were not damaged, but ignored 20 years ago.
I think it's easier for rugby players now to open up, and sports players. People are more receptive to it now. So if you were, let's just say, for example, 20 years ago, and you was on that bus on the way to a rugby game, or on the way back to a rugby game, and everyone's got the beers out, and you're like, oh, I don't want to drink tonight, lads. I'm not doing too well. I'm not thinking it's right. Let's be honest, you'd probably get ripped to shit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, to be honest, you probably wouldn't end up on the bus because you knew the environment you were going back into. There would normally be a handful of people that would drive down, like the old heads, but you'd always have like someone's dad driving down, you'd end up getting back with them.
But
But-
how do you explain that? How do you say to our lads, I'm not getting on the bus today? Like, you wouldn't have gone, lad, I'm not getting on the bus because I'm not right. Yeah.
I don't. We would never say it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
come up
think.
with some bullshit excuse.
Yeah, I
"Oh,
don't-
I can't get back.
Family dinner.
Yeah.
I'd at work tonight, or I'm going on a date tonight.
Yeah. And that's the issue. What I mean is
Yeah.
the fact that you had to come up with some bullshit. And I think now, if you said, like, lads, I'm not getting on the bus, I think people are more receptive. You're right, guy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I just having a bad day. All right, mate. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think a lot of it as well. What I've noticed as well now with the young, like the current crop playing, they're much more willing and open about not drinking for a few weeks, taking breaks from drinking, and both for physical and mental, like the dry Januaries
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some lads will be like, I had a heavy month, so I'm having a few weeks off. But now it's like, all right, have a Corona Zero. Like, you'd never have a non-alcoholic drink in the club. Now they're drinking Corona Zero or Guinness Zero. Like,
A lot more conscious of the impact of
yeah,
alcohol.
just being out and having a laugh with your mates. Drink,
Yeah.
being needed is a big one.
I
for me.
think for men, and I don't think it gets talked. Men need men. We need to be around other men because we need that blowout every now and then with the boys. Because men are stupid. we're children
Yeah,
at heart, aren't we? And
There's-
when we're with our boys, there's no judgment. We're just messing around. We're just like, do you know what I mean?
changing room banter,
Changing room banter.
like the abuse that you'll have on a night out,
Yeah.
and you will call each other every name under
Yeah.
the sun. And 3 hours later, you're like, I love you.
That's our love language. There's always one or two people who take it too far, obviously.
Always.
But I truly believe men need to spend time with other men for their mental health.
It's not always around alcohol or whatever. It's either going to the gym with your mate,
Yeah.
or going for a game of pool or darts, or we were playing on Call of Duty and like with some of my other mates. Just that little bit of tuning out reality for a couple of hours,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, just zoning out of your responsibilities
yeah,
as a man, as a father.
yeah.
Just zoning out of that responsibility.
Oh, you're a big kid. You're 40 years old playing on Call of Duty. It's like, yeah, but it's a better way of dealing with that than being in the bookies or being in the pub.
But you think that it could be a hell of a lot worse. It's not because they're playing the game. It's because they're zoning out,
Yeah,
switching off their brain.
I mean, I think women, it's more acceptable for them to go and get their nails done, their hair done.
Yeah.
Go for a pedicure or manicure or
Yeah.
for a spa day.
Yeah, little things that make them feel better.
You know, it's their dirty time and it's
Yeah.
understood. But as soon as a guy wants to do it, or well, you're shirking your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whereas men don't go and play golf to feel better. They don't play sports to like feel better. They do it to switch off
yeah,
and be someone else.
yeah,
Just going back to the rugby situation and talking about their mental health, there was Harry Morgan. You ever heard of it?
No.
Osprey's. Am I saying it right? Osprey.
Ospreys, yeah,
Osprey's scrum half. He was 24 in. So he's quite a profile player. He quit rugby to prioritise his mental health. I think his grandparents both passed away quite close to each other, and he was having injuries, and he was like, I need to quit this. So he quit. He said he'd be back. Like, he just needed time.
yeah,
away, but he never went back. And he was like 24 years old, and he'd been playing rugby all his life, and it was just too much.
yeah.
And he just like, no, I can't do it anymore. And he protected his mental health. And do you know what I mean? You think,
Well,
many
yeah,
times you've been so close to like, I can't do this.
Well, you look at Joe Marler, like we mentioned him earlier. The amount of times he stepped away from a England tour, and luckily, like financially, he was able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, rugby's not a high-paid sport. It's well-paid, but it's not a footballer's salary.
Yeah.
And he's turning down 25 grand a game, representing your country, because he's realised I'm not in a good enough place. I need my family around me.
Yeah.
And I listened to his autobiography, and some of the stuff he opened up to was absolutely eye-opening with trigger points and just not realizing what was happening and lying to the team doctors and stuff like that, and then having that trust in the doctor to actually open up.
And you look at Joe, like he's a big guy. Most people seem to think like people are meant the nerdy guys who don't go out and do
No.
anything else, but you can't. And this is what we were talking about earlier with mental crutches. You can't look at someone and go, "That person is struggling." You have to ask. You have to talk.
Well, I don't know if you remember the England-Wales game where he's grabbed Alan Wynne-Jones by the ball sack. He brings it up in his book, and he's like, "Me and Alan Wynne shared a room together on Lions tour.
Yeah.
Like we are good mates
Yeah.
off the pitch." What was happening is it was 20 minutes into the game. It was like the 8th little scuffle, and I grabbed him and went, "Come on, mate, let's sort our teams out. Let's stop this and let's play some rugby," as teammates would do. And it was all died down. Then after the match, they had a laugh, had a beer, and he said next morning, Alan Wynne's phoning. He's like, "Look, mate, I'm really sorry. I'm being told by the WRU I've got to take this further. I've got to do a press release. I've got to go X, Y, Z." And then it's like, so he's gave him the full warning. Marley just said, like, "I'm struggling, mate." Like, weeks later, "You're this sex pest, you're this, you're that." He's like, "Mate, I was having a laugh with a mate of mine." Like,
It just happened to be on national TV.
yeah. And it's like everyone's picking him apart. "Oh, it's Marley." And he's like, said, "Why me?" That actually have not me again.
Yeah. The media plays a big part in, not us, because we're obviously not high profile, but if you look at that woman,
Caroline Flack.
Caroline Flack, media was on her non-stop. And she took her own life. You with me? And you think, and then they were like, "Oh," and then they were backtracking, like, "Oh,
Yeah,
like,
be kind, be kind.
Yeah. Just to sell papers
Yeah,
or clickbait, you've destroyed this woman,
yeah,
but you have batted an eyelid, and then she's done what she's done, and then all of a sudden, and there's no repercussions for these media. They'd sell a story and then move on to the next story.
yeah, without a care in the world.
A care in the world. And yet that person, Joe, he's had to pull up with all that. He knows it was innocent. His teammates knows it was innocent.
Yeah.
Two guys messing around, and someone with an agenda. And at what expense?
Yeah, for, like, say, money. Clickbait.
For money and clickbait.
I mean, how many times do you hear of a sportsman or someone in the media suddenly shot to fame, footballer, cricketer, whatever, and then suddenly someone spent a week scrolling through every Twitter post from when they were 14, and they've said something stupid. They retweeted a joke of the day, like,
said something even remotely sexist, and bang. It's like Kevin Hart.
yeah,
He was supposed to be hosting the Oscars.
yeah,
And someone scrolled back. I think he said some derogatory word. Next thing you know, he's not doing the Oscars. And you're like, God, how many things? And you touched on this earlier, being that cusp of that generation. Can you imagine if there was phones, camera phones, all when we were growing up?
which we grew up with South Park,
Do you know what I mean?
Wikipedia. Do you remember Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Like,
Euro trash.
Eurotrash, like literally, like every
Beavis
day.
and Butthead, like just stupid shit.
Yeah, like you grew up with South Park and Family Guy, and then go, "I'm offended." Like, and that's it. I think that's the buzzword again. Still is, "I'm offended."
You are allowed to be offended.
Yeah,
Like, it don't mean nothing. You're offended. So what?
I think going back to the mental health issue, I think that's where it's watered down quite a lot. Is "I'm offended" is now I'm depressed or I'm upset.
You're really upset by mental health.
Yeah, you've upset. It's like, turn Twitter off.
Yeah, that's one thing that blows my mind. If you
Turn
read
Facebook off
something-
for the day.
Yeah, just scroll past. Scroll past.
Looking on it, like we're saying, it's gambling, Ladbrokes and all of them. You've got timeout zones.
What's the the song? Oh, bad Betty.
Billy
bad.
Bang. Oh, bad.
Do you know what I mean?
But-
Stuff like that. I think they're doing.
Should something like that be introduced to social media? A 24-hour timeout.
Yeah.
Same mental health is, especially in kids.
Yeah, it's so easy for kids to get hold of social media accounts and get signed up. And
and then you like, hold up, take a break for 72 hours.
God. Let's touch on that. When we were kids, we weren't allowed to use the house phone.
No.
Mum and Dad never let you use the house phone. You had to get on your bike
And don't find your mates.
and go find your mates.
And they were all outside the one house.
And all outside of one house. You're looking for all the bikes outside the house. And that's how you knew. You know what I mean? Kids don't go out now. Kids they don't go on their bikes riding, right? They obviously get
Yeah.
They don't. So the only way they can communicate with their friends is through their phone.
Yeah.
Social media. So it's difficult to say, oh, take the phones off them. Because then they wouldn't talk to anyone. And then it's a mental health issue again because they're not connecting with their friends. They're missing out. I think a lot of parents just allow their kids like uncontrolled access.
I remember growing up, my dad ran a social club. On a Saturday, all the kids were down there.
Yeah.
Or when he didn't work there, you'd be at the rugby club,
Yeah.
cricket club. Do you know what I mean?
You were out, amongst adults, and the other kids would be like out the back playing.
Yeah. And my kids are the same now because Katie's working behind the bar in the club on a Saturday. I'll pop down and have a few beers, and the boys are asking me, Dad, can we go down the club? I was like, no, let's just chill here. So you got your switches, you got your TV, watch your film, and they're like, no, we want to go and play.
Yeah.
And you go down, and they're there with all their friends, and they're actually engaging.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's the biggest thing we've lost in my life is the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I know financial difficulties, cost of living, but chill out down a social club like your rugby club. Let the kids be kids.
Yeah. We constantly want to watch them, constantly want to know where they are. Keep your tracking on your phone.
Yeah.
You know, you're not letting them grow, not exposing them to danger, but you're not giving them a chance to work that danger out.
Yeah.
And I don't mean danger like, you know, going into a bloody crack house. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just mean like being out in the street, growing up, you were told, like, oh, if anyone stops to speak to you, like in a car, don't get in the car, you know, stuff like that. And you run away.
But I think it's also frowned upon now. Say, oh, what do you do on the weekend? Well, the kids are socialising.
It's
What
a social club.
What would you rather do? Have them sat in front of a Switch?
Yeah.
I can see who they're with when they're up in their rooms on a PlayStation or Xbox or Switch, but they'd rather go out and play.
And I'll be honest with you, mate, that lasts a few more years. So you're lucky where you have that outlet, the social club, that you can take them down at, and they will readily walk into that situation because they're used to it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So like people who don't go to social clubs and don't go out, and they're on a Saturday night, the kids are in their room.
Yeah.
Don't see them anymore. I always encourage the time we all sit at the table.
Same.
Phones on the side, like away, and even if it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes, we just sit down and I make a point. We go around. How's your day? How's your day?
Yeah. I mean, we try to sit down as much as we can to eat as a family, but due to commitments with other activities now, we're not as strict on it. But if we're all in and we're all eating together, we will all sit down and eat together.
Kids remember that. I don't know about you, but I remember like on a Sunday that was roast dinner day.
Roast dinner, yeah.
You know, so if you didn't have breakfast before 9 o'clock, then you weren't allowed to eat until 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you don't ask for food because you would have had little backhand like,
Get out.
Get out of the house. Whereas my kids are always hungry.
Oh.
You literally see me cooking dinner, right?
Yeah. I want dinner now.
Can I have a snack before dinner? I
No.
promise I'll eat it all.
No, like pudding's guaranteed. Oh,
You didn't eat your dinner. Oh, yeah, I've got space for dinner. I've got space for
pudding.
That's my kid. That's my youngest favourite line.
Yeah, it's like
I'm full up to here, Dad. I've got
pudding
space.
used to be a treat in my house, and
Yeah.
now it's a guaranteed. But then, like, it's quite nice down rugby club. Toby's 5 in a couple of weeks. He's playing with 14-year-old, and Thomas is as tall as me. Like, but they'll sit and play. Some of the older lads will sit and play.
Yeah. Because they grew up together. Like,
Yeah,
they've always
and
seen them. And
even some of the first team players will, like, I remember we were having a few beers a couple of months ago, and Toby had got a Swordles Minecraft apps out of his magazine that day. For a couple of the first team players, got some boxes and made him a shield out of it, cut it out, like, put duct tape to it.
Yeah.
And then he was sat there playing with, like, 20-odd-year-old blokes having a pint with a shield and hats.
But that must make you feel good too, knowing that there's your teammates that are as welcoming and they look at your kids as their kids. It's like you said, that community. when you said like there's not enough of it, social clubs, community centres, you know, they're closing down, they're losing business.
But yeah, there's not enough.
Not enough.
Is that part of the media hype that we had, what, 10 years ago about drinking? Like I said, it's you frowned upon if you take your kid to a pub.
Yeah.
A lot of the time now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one of those like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. They're on their way home. Like
You ain't there at midnight,
yeah,
locking and
Lock in,
just
like-
dead on the sofa, like the good old days.
like what happened to us?
Yeah.
2 chairs pushed together, like the little chairs,
Yeah.
chair
A
beds.
load of you, just
Yeah.
like, all cussed up.
But they're building friendships that will be there
For life.
for life.
For life. Yeah. I
And
think that's a lot of people miss out on that.
yeah, and I think speaking with some experience with people who, in my social circles, we're too hyped up on what you can do for us. I think we've become quite selfish. What can you do for me?
Yeah.
Who do you work for?
You're as important to them as long as you have a need for them.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And in the
but-
moment you don't hear from them, I know lives get busy,
yeah,
but you never hear from people. Do you know that old saying is like, a best friend, you might not speak to each other for years, and then you could pick up the phone and be like, it never.
yeah.
I don't buy that at all,
No.
because that's not real.
Oh, I know what
Think
you
it-
mean with that. And sometimes you understand, like, I got a really close group of friends. One lives in Gibraltar, he's in the Navy. The other one's in the Navy and he's on deployment a lot. And the other one works for the government. So, like, he's busy in the week.
Yeah.
But when we get together, we make it worthwhile. And we've got our group chats, and I won't see Blake for months because he's in Gibraltar. Like, he made sure he flew back from my 40th.
Well, if you've seen each other a couple of times a year, that's fair enough. Like, that's like, so me and like quite a few of my friends, like we go to France every year golfing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. You're with the lads for 4 days. You're playing golf, drinking beers, like, having a great time.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't see him for the whole year, you know, well, I'll see you in a year. Fine.
Yeah.
Like on the chat, you're still chatting.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's different.
And you might meet up with a few of them here and there for a round
Yeah.
of golf or whatever. And that's what we do is once a year, we'll try and go to an away game for Gloucester.
Do your core friends then, do you talk quite openly about mental health with them? Or is
Yeah.
it sort of a taboo?
Since my own struggles, I've made sure I've opened up the door for,
Yeah,
The
open up to
conversation.
them and say, look, guys, that we need to talk. I'm
Yeah.
struggling. I know you must be struggling.
yeah.
Okay. And how's that gone down? Has everyone
It's
opened up as much as you thought they would?
Yeah,
or-
some can and can't because of their work. Others will be like, yeah, do you know what? I'm actually all right at the moment. And other ones, it's like, yeah, same. Like, I'm feeling run down. Can we just go and have a coffee or
Yeah.
go out for the day?
Just sit there and talk.
But I have had friends where it hasn't gone down well. When
They're not ready to open up, or they.
they feel it's a slight on them if I talk about it. So
Do you mean like they've upset you?
so I opened up to a friend of mine that I was on antidepressants at one point,
Yeah.
years and years ago now. And he's like, no friend of mine needs to be on them. I got their back. And it's like, it's not that easy, mate. And then he's like, oh, I'm always there for you. I'm always there for you. Like, I've texted a few times, got nothing. And I've had Katie go, Garth, struggling at the moment. Give him a text.
Yeah.
Go for a beer or something. Radio silence.
Yeah. I think the issue with mental health, a lot of people that don't have issues with mental health
Yeah.
struggle to find the words, struggle to find the connection with people that have. So, for example, you've got 3 friends.
Yeah.
Okay, one's super rich, one's really poor, but has all the time in the world. And the other person is, I don't know, just a normal guy, right? Not rich, not poor, not too busy, but just overall. If you went to the rich guy and said, I'm struggling with my mental health,
Yeah.
most of the time, he's not going to sit there and listen to you. He's going to chuck money at your problem.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you need, guy? What do you need? Like, I'll pay you. I'll pay for the best doctors. I'll pay for you. You're like, but man, I just want to talk with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's say the poor guy, yeah, got no money, but he's sitting listening to you all day.
Yeah. As a dad, you'll know this. Every kid has an issue of some sort, and they'll all play you up in some way. And sometimes, if they haven't got that mutual ground, so if they haven't got kids themselves or they want kids,
Can't relate.
they can't relate. So they're like, what do you mean? I wish I had that problem.
Or they're chucking out at you that they've read somewhere. They've never experienced it, but something they've read.
Yeah,
Oh, you should do this. Because
Yeah.
I've read somewhere that if you stand on your head
yeah.
4 hours straight,
What Super Nanny once 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
I know how to deal with spoiled kids. Like,
I've got friends with autistic kids, and I see it coaching kids with all different
abilities.
abilities, issues, and if you're that parent 24/7, it is hard.
Yeah. Draining.
And you do think as a parent, what did I do wrong? Was it this? Was it that? Did I do this? Did we eat too much of this when she was pregnant? You question everything. You think, what did I do? And it's just nature sometimes, but you do think,
Yeah. It's that blame culture again, isn't it? Like, it's got to be an answer for why my child's like that. Sometimes it might be genetic,
yeah,
but it's a tough one, I think. And you see, especially for parents with children with disabilities or special needs or anything that they need extra help with, you do start blaming yourself.
it's not even about, like, that's a major issue for a lot of people. You don't know time until you've had kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got something on every day of the week, parties, this, clubs.
Don't start with the parties. Yeah.
My boys do something 7 days a week. Tonight, Toby had squirrels. 2 hours of karate tomorrow night. 2 hours of karate Wednesday night. Thursday night, Henry's got beavers. Friday night, we got karate.
Yeah.
Saturday, swimming. Rugby Sunday.
Yeah.
Back to work Monday.
Yeah.
Back to the routine again. You try telling your kids no.
Yeah.
Or,
Because they don't see mum and dad tired.
no.
They just see, I've got beavers tomorrow. I've got karate tonight.
Yeah. And you take away, like, watching your kids achieve something. You know,
Yeah.
that's the best feeling in the world. It's watching them develop and build confidence.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's inspiring for adults to see their children grow like that. I can't remember looking back any time my parents encouraged me to do it.
No,
There wasn't a lot around at the time. Like, it wasn't like it is now. Like, there's 1,000 clubs.
my childhood was a bit different. My dad ran the club,
Yeah.
and before that, he done two, 3 jobs at a time. Mum worked a lot. I'd done football on a Saturday for a while with the local youth club. Then my little brother got into snooker, so we used to go and play at Westgate Street Snooker Club on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And some of the lads we play with now are professionals. Like, we grew up playing with like Jack Lewowski and Rob Milton and all that lot.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday mornings. That was life. Because my dad ran the club was attached to a church. We had to be seen at church on a Sunday morning, so I couldn't play rugby. Then it, like you said, it's Sunday dinner,
Sunday dinner.
family bath night. Like, you'd have a bath in the week, but Sunday night was
Heartbeat, bed.
heartbeat, bit of bully,
Bit bully.
bit of
If
bully,
you were lucky.
yeah, and then bed.
Yeah.
You know, and it was get everything ready for the school week.
Yeah. Structure.
And back then, like, most parents didn't have 2 cars. Everything was like, go and walk or get on your bike.
God, I remember walking miles into town with our mum, like, with a trolley.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
We-
walking across train tracks the bloody lot to get.
yeah. My mum did drive, so it was like one of the other mums picked me up or on your bike and
Yeah.
off to Air Cadets, off to Beavers, off to Cubs.
We were the last generation to walk everywhere. I've pieced a little bit here. If I said to you, you tell me, what does it mean to you to be a man?
So I think it's being the protector, being the role model. Like, in 20 years, and someone to go up to me, you should be proud of your boys. They're great gentlemen.
Yeah. I think there's no higher recognition for a parent. I think for other people to recognise and to go, you've done well there. Your kids they've grown up to be really good, outstanding citizens.
Yeah. Like, I know I'm an asshole at times, aren't we all? My father-in-law once said to me,
Get out.
yeah, he said to me, I can't remember the exact wording, but he's like, one thing I know you'd always do for Katie is fight, and you'd always do your best. You've been knocked down several times when you've been together, but you've never stayed down and you've gone back and come back harder. And it's,
Yeah.
we've
I think as a father, see that.
he's like, you'd always put her first. Yeah, we've, like, you know, it's like you take gambles with work, careers,
Life.
and it's not always backfired, but you kept trying, and you're right. I go back to plan B.
I think that's important. I think a lot of people with relationships now, especially with social media, give up too easily. Right? They could be in a relationship and it's not going well. They're arguing, sexless, all these things, right? They're just, I can't bother with this, I'm going. They're not trying to tackle the issue at hand and go, why have we got like this? How have we got to here? They just move on or they start looking elsewhere.
I think one thing like I've learned over the last couple of years, being a father, defining what being a father is, as well as being a man. And one thing I was really conscious of when we had the boys was don't lose being husband and wife by being mum and dad.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think a lot of people doubted us and questioned us at the time. And I'm like, if we're not happy as a couple,
the kids know it. They see it.
Yeah.
Kids ain't stupid.
And
like they look at it. I'm a big advocate for showing affection, as you know.
Yeah.
And touchy-feely. Sorry, bro. But I'll kiss the missus in front of the kids. When I'm a little dance, I'll squeeze your butt. Like, you know,
yeah, same.
They're like, oh, Dad, stop it. Like, but they say that, but they look at it and think, oh, Mum and Dad are in love.
That's love. Yeah, and even I'm conscious, like I'm giving my boys a cuddle. Like I will sit there on the sofa and Henry will just come up and cuddle me.
Yeah. Can you imagine having those cuddles with your dad when you were younger?
Not really.
For men, I think that's brilliant. No, that was the generation of like, if you were a man showing affection,
yeah,
I tell all my mates. I'm like, man, I love you, man. See you there. And I'll cuddle them and I'll get all up in there and I'm squeezing them. Like,
yeah.
I don't care because that's just me. But I think a lot of people struggle with that. What message do you think you're teaching your boys?
Always try your hardest and you turn up.
And turn up.
Be present.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a very important trait to have.
And
present and turn up.
And one thing we've focused on this year is helping those less experienced than you lose any arrogance. It's
less fortunate.
Yeah.
In all aspects.
Help people. Don't expect to be helped if you're not helping other people.
What does old Gareth know now that young Gareth didn't?
Cut the problem sooner.
Don't let it fester.
I'm aware of my trigger points. I'm more aware of my mental roller coaster because it is a roller coaster life. And being more aware and going, I need help, or using trigger words with mates. Like it doesn't have to be a day out. It doesn't. 8 minutes is all it takes to change your mood. An 8-minute phone call.
Recognizing trigger downs. When men have that depression or that issue, we don't recognize trigger ups.
Yeah.
Now, you saying 8 minute, if you put that track on, bit of Led Zeppelin, that one track is going to boost you a bit. You with me?
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on trigger downs, focusing on trigger ups. More of trigger ups.
Well, one of my biggest strengths is karate. After giving up rugby, I felt quite lost, especially the last couple of years, giving up bit by bit, a game here, a game there.
Is that more you being aware of your body not being able to do it? Or was it like mentally you couldn't do it anymore?
It was more being sensible. The jobs we do, injury-wise.
Not being able to afford an injury.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't work.
And having to be responsible.
So was there a certain situation that you had that you thought, right, I need to stop this now?
Just gradual. The recovery times were taking longer, in less on the pitch, the knots were in more.
Yeah.
And then they brought in some new laws, and I was like, do you know what? With rugby, you have to commit 100% in my eyes.
Yeah.
With rugby, I mean, I've had it myself. I've been airlifted to hospital.
Yeah.
With a suspected broken neck. I've seen friends with dislocated shoulders, dislocated ankles.
It's a high impact sport.
Yeah.
All sorts of issues can happen.
Yeah. Concussions, everything like that. And I was like, it's just time.
How long has your journey been with?
So I started karate about a year ago. 14 months ago, so about February last year. And I only started it because I used to do taekwondo as a teenager and I'd done really well.
Yeah.
But then went into rugby, and the drinking culture was more my cup of tea than what, even though I was really good at taekwondo, it was, rugby was being born and bred in
Quite
Gloucester.
isolationist sport, I'd imagine. You're on your own.
Yeah.
Whereas rugby is team and
Yeah.
and acceptance as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially at a young age, you probably thought, "Wow, this is my people."
Yeah, you know, bunch of 19, 20-year-old lads all playing together.
Yeah.
I've got friends for life.
Yeah.
But so literally just saw a poster at the school by the house, and it's like karate here. Emailed, phoned up, inquired. Took it gradually to start with, a couple of months.
Yeah.
We went on holiday, so we were only training an hour a week.
Yeah.
But then me and Henry started getting into it properly and started enjoying it more. So we started going to other lessons, because with the membership we had, you can go to any class in any dojo. I realised the benefit of training with me and spending that hour or two with my son, just us.
Yeah.
Going there, going back,
Yeah.
that 10-minute drive.
Together, bonding.
Yeah. Do it, and we started it obviously on the same belt, so we're developing together, which was quite nice. And then I bumped into an old friend of mine who's one of the senseis, so I started training with him, and it just grew from there. And started drawing up some of the belts, really enjoying doing it. Like, I was training 2, 3, 4 nights a week, but it was subsidising for the rugby.
Yeah. And I'd imagine it was focusing your mind as well.
Yeah. You bow and you close your eyes for 30 seconds. And that first 30 seconds is forget about the day, forget about everything else. And then at the end of the class, it's another 30 seconds and you've ingrained in what you've learned tonight.
Yeah.
And you prepare for what's coming next.
What's the name of the club?
GKR Karate.
KR.
Go Kairu Karate.
Who runs it?
Dan is the head sensei for the region.
Yeah.
But so when I started doing it, I picked things up quite quickly.
Yeah.
So I was helping others. So now I'm training to become an instructor myself.
Nice.
So it's now
the aim of taking on your own
dojo,
just helping out and covering, and
bit of both.
Okay.
So I got my green belt recently, so it's like 4th belt or whatever, 3rd, 4th belt. But it's like my little Toby started doing it, so now it's 2 hours a night Katie has by herself for her time with her book.
Yes.
We go and train, and it's teaching Henry confidence. He messed up in his grading, but the senseis involved were like, no, come on. You see it through.
Yeah.
If you failed, you failed.
Yeah.
But don't quit.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant for a young lad. Role model. Like, you're obviously a role model.
Yeah.
He's sitting there and was like, look, you don't quit. You failed. So what?
Yeah.
You don't give up. You go again.
Yeah, and it was, if you fail, you fail, but you practice the rest of the grading for next time.
Yeah.
And seeing him go back, it was our last grading together. So seeing him go back in line and finish it, and he passed, he got his grading, so he was over the moon. So now I'm teaching kids who are 5, 6, and blokes who are 40, the basics. All the Eidos left at the door, and it's quite nice. Like, now I'm in training to become an instructor. I've been doing senior classes. So on a Thursday night, I train with just purely seniors, which are high-end black belts and instructors. Mentally, it's done me the power of good, and what I found was your body and your mind are entwined.
Yeah.
So getting out there and achieving something as a 40-year-old bloke or whatever you are now, your biggest challenge is stepping through that door.
Yeah, because I'm fat.
Yeah. It's not the height thing. But you get a certificate.
Just for turning out.
Just for your first lesson.
Because it's hard enough to, as a grown-up, to leap.
Everyone gets a certificate of well done.
How can people find this club? GKR Karate.
Yeah, .co.uk, I believe. They're on Facebook, and also I'll send you.
GKR.
Yeah, it is GKR.
Yeah, shout out GKR.
Again, so as a parent, it's something you can do with your kids, which most activities is
Would you say with people who are struggling with mental health, right? I've asked a few people, what's the best way to get help?
I find that quite a difficult question to answer because there are obviously the antidepressants on the market. I've tried tablets, talking groups. I've tried podcasts. Shout out to this podcast, by the way.
That help them mental.
But find what works for you.
Yeah. And don't stop until you find something.
Yeah. Look into what you need. If it's advice, if you know your trigger point for a mental health breakdown is gambling,
yeah,
go to a Gamblers Anonymous, follow that route. Yeah. If you find routine for some routine is a killer, other people it's a base.
Yeah, needed.
If you need a routine, work out the routine that works for you. Speak to your friends, your partners, your family. I always feel better after a day with my cousins or
trigger ups.
Do it more often. If I literally just so with karate for me, I know 3-4 nights a week. I don't have to train if I don't want to.
Yeah. You probably become hooked on it.
Yeah.
Endorphins that get released when you're there.
It's like you going to the gym. If going to the gym is helpful for you, do that. But taking the kids out for 2 hours and doing something with the kids is great because you see what they're achieving.
Yeah.
You can celebrate your wins as a family. And with GKR, we have a lot of family groups in there. It's not cliquey at all, which I find in other areas.
Yeah.
It's you're part of a team, you're part of a dojo, but you can flicker in between dojos and you're just as welcome. But it's ultimately on you. And then you can go off and do competitions. It's a challenge in putting yourself outside your comfort.
Yeah. And I think as adults, we struggle to put ourselves in competitive situations. When you're kids, it's almost a given because you're like, yeah, I want to be the best. But as adults, it's that nerves. Like, I potentially have to fight another man here.
Yeah.
I haven't had a fight since I was and 10, 15 years old.
Mentally, I find it just pushing yourself. And some classes are harder than others. And it's great knowing that you've done a hard class and overcoming it. Like you learn a new kata. So our kata is like the patterns where we do for grading. My next one's 38 moves. So just getting your head around that and getting it in the flow of it. And then you'll learn that. And then you'll learn the nuances. Your first kata is still your black belt kata. Every kata I'm learning now will be at my black belt grading.
Do you practice it at home? You're like in front of the mirror.
No, I train enough nights to do it.
Oh no, I'm done.
But
it's Call of Duty night.
Yeah. Well, I forgot what Call of Duty is. Like Christ.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you want to get active and you think you need to spend time with the kids.
Yeah. To be fair, I would love to at some point, love to come down and interview Dan and just say, look, I think it's important that message come across to people, and not just obviously what they're doing for children, but for grown-ups to go along and have a space for themselves.
Yeah.
And listening to you, it's obviously done wonders for you. It's focused your mind.
It's surprising how competitive we all still are. So
I don't think you ever lose that.
One of the first lessons I was instructing, I was following a class plan, and one of them was how short punches into a kick shield. And it was meant to be 50. So like, do you know what? I'm changing this up. I'm calling an audible. How many can you do in 30 seconds?
Oh, okay.
So all the kids then were like, rah. And then I had Dan there, Adrian there, who's another sensei, Ross, who's orange tag, so he's a yellow belt with an orange tag, getting very competitive about who can do. Yeah. And Ross done like 160 or something in 30 seconds. So we had a certificate at the end.
And a lollipop.
Yeah. But it was like that bit of enjoyment and letting off steam, and
switching off and having a bit of fun at the same time.
And also it's that confidence you get from learning a technique. Like we'll just change it because it's still engaging your brain instead of just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ki. It's like, no, I got to think now in Japanese what numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Yeah. Language as well.
Yeah, I'm learning quite a bit of Japanese now.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking it up quite, not easily, but challenging yourself.
Obviously, you're at the start of your journey on that. But do you feel the more experienced senseis and the instructors, do they have a responsibility to look at the students and notice when someone's struggling? Do you spot that a lot? Or do you have training for that? Or is it just purely about the karate?
It's not purely about the karate, but as instructors, as senseis, we're careful with how we deal with kids.
Do you see a lot of the kids come through that door? You see they've had a tough day. What a point I'm trying to get at is you obviously in a position of power for these children. And as adults, we don't have anyone in positions of power
Yeah.
to come stand next to us and say, hey, we're doing it at your pace.
Same with coaching rugby on the weekend. Sometimes they might have got tackled by mistake, even though we're doing touch at the moment. They might bump into each other and they might get a little bump.
Yeah.
They might go off, or the balls might have hit them in the face. When you want to join back in, come on back in, but
don't give up.
Don't give up. It's also forcing kids to do something they don't want to do is detrimental, because next week they won't turn up.
Yeah. I think kids get that get out of jail card when they're kids, because if they don't want to do something, a lot of times they just won't do it. As adults, we might not want to go to work that day, but we have responsibilities. We have to go and do it.
I prefer the carrot, not the stick. A couple of lessons now, I'll take a couple of Freddos with me.
Cheating, bugger.
But if you're naughty, you don't get it.
Of course.
If you're sat out, you definitely don't get it. But I will decide before that night what I'm looking for. The loudest responses, the loudest KIs, the best kit. If we're doing kits, I'll look for the best technique or the best effort. Some people are more naturally gifted, but if they're not trying, and the person who's trying, he might have done better kits, but he's trying harder.
Would you say hard work beats talent all day? Because you can be naturally...
You can work on a lot of things. A lot of hard work will...
only get yourself...
That's part of it. Talent is part of it, you know, in life, not just on the pitch.
Without a doubt, being in the right place at the right time.
You know, we can look at numerous examples in the sporting world. Luke Littler in the darts at the moment, he's a natural freak.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But if his mum and dad didn't give him the darts when he was 3-4 years old,
driving around, taking
him there
to shows, competitions.
He's got the talent, but he's also doing the hard work of putting the miles in.
Yeah.
But then he's been lucky with parents. It sounds stupid, but being lucky that he's grown up in a working men's environment in Runcorn or Warrington and not in a boozer in Essex.
Do you know, that's a good point. Let's touch on it. So one of the things that I researched when I was starting up Powerful Mental, a few years back now, and so I don't know if you know this or if I've mentioned it to you before, but Gloucester is in the top 5 cities for male suicide.
Didn't know that.
That's mad, isn't it? That's a mad stat.
Yeah.
Like Gloucester is one of the highest for male suicide. And I look at it and I'm thinking, what's different in Gloucester?
One thing I've noticed why I'm doing better mentally is trimming the fat, realising what I need, not being selfish, but being selfish.
Yeah.
So I'm giving more back, like I said, with the karate, with the coaching. I'm getting my rewards, helping out, feeling good about myself. Yeah, it's tiring. Yes, it's hard work, but it's rewarding.
You touched on it earlier in the interview about people, you know, always wanting something.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've probably been guilty of it yourself, but now you've switched that up and you're giving back. And how does that make you feel?
Much better. And I won't mention any names, but over the years I've cut out a lot of friends because they were going down paths that I didn't agree with.
Yeah.
And that's not drink or drugs or whatever, but some of it was drinking, but all I was a drinking buddy to them.
Just another name on the list to make the numbers up.
And then when me and Katie got together, there was a lot of jealousy because we were buying a house, we were
growing up.
Yeah, she had horses as well. She didn't come from a wealthy background, but they deemed because she had a horse and went to Hartbury, she was made of money. And it's like, well, no, that's her priority. That's her hobby.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it because we were doing things that I was like, well, you're on the dole, basically. I was like, I know there's nothing wrong with you because I've known you for the last
Yeah.
15
Call them out
years.
in their bullshit by saying.
Yeah. And I can't sit by and watch someone waste their lives and not want to be helped.
Yeah. Wanting more for yourself.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you've worked your way out, or not necessarily just worked yourself out of it financially, but also, like you said, you've trimmed the fat. You've realised and accepted that you probably love those guys.
Yeah.
They're like really good friends, but you're like, no, I have to protect myself here.
If all your friends are doing drinks, drugs, and parties on a weekend, aren't paying attention to their kids as much, or don't care, or this, that, the other, guess what you're going to be doing? The same.
Dragged into the same circles.
If you're hanging around with people who are working hard, doing date nights, looking at kids' activities, you associate with people who you want to be.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And
You surround yourself with that sort of people, you're going to eventually mold into that sort of people.
yeah, if you want to be a rich entrepreneur, you're not going to sit in the Riedel all day with all the winos, are you?
Yeah. You're going to surround yourself with
You're going to be surrounding yourself at business meetings at David Lloyd because that's where you want to be.
Yeah. Well, first of all, before I carry on, congratulations for that. That takes some doing.
That's fine.
Pat on the back for that, mate. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit when we have to make these hard choices, but we have to understand as a people, you have to protect yourself at times. And by the signs of it, you've done that. Imagine it was hard, but you've acknowledged it and you've moved yourself forward.
Don't get me wrong, I've had issues with drinking and this, that, the other, gambling.
Let's touch on that then. So you've accepted and you've acknowledged that you've been in a bad place,
Yeah.
right? What pulled you back from your lowest point? What made you think, I'm in a bad place here?
Supportive parents as such, but the wife and kids. And like, I think that's when I did get to a point where I was like, it's one way or the other now.
Yeah.
It's 6 foot under, or I do a 180 and don't get me wrong, I'll have lapses, but it's how I know now how to deal.
You recognise it quite early. Yeah.
You know,
You said it earlier about dealing with it quick.
again, just keeping myself occupied, not giving myself time
Yeah.
to spiral.
That's a great answer. And quite a few other people have said the same thing, is try not to think about it too much. Also at the same time, not giving yourself that time to think about that. Keeping yourself active, keeping yourself busy. And obviously the karate sounds like it's keeping you active.
Yeah.
Not just that, the rugby training and
Yeah.
the fact that you're spending that time with your kids.
Yeah. It sounds stupid, but with the gambling, when online, I'm playing on the same slots, but not for money.
Was that a big issue for you, gambling? Was that
Yeah,
something that-
massive.
what
Oh, massive.
sort of- how did it start and when did you realise shit?
Oh, it started when I was a teenager, early teens, working in a social club. And, you know, if dad dropped the jackpot, back then it was 100, 200 quid.
Yeah. Out the machines, the
Out of the machines, pound coins,
the sound of success.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
and then you'd be like, that's because we weren't poor, but we weren't flush. But then it was that 200 quid's made us,
Yeah. Take out tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it just become normal.
So how much would you say you were spending a week
Oh,
gambling?
I don't know. It varied at times. Some weeks I could lose a lot of money.
Money that was needed elsewhere? For rent?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So you were chasing that.
Yeah.
You were chasing that win.
Yeah.
To recover your losses.
Yeah.
What about your online gambling?
Yeah, that started a few years ago. And then I got into a bit of debt with that. And then I'm working out of it again now. But I think that was the problem with working away a lot, being bored in a hotel room.
Yeah. Games on telly, let's have a go.
Yeah.
The odds are chasing that.
Yeah.
Loss.
Yeah, it was slots.
But again, one of the key things there is, like you said, working away, bored in a hotel room.
Yeah,
Mind's not occupied. You're feeling down. You want a little fix.
yeah,
Gambling was obviously your fix.
yeah. But then when I was with certain crews, we'd go to the gym and it was a lot better.
Online gambling is so it's such a trap to fall into because it's not physical money. It's
Yeah.
just digital. So you're looking at it and there could be 100 quid. That's a lot of money, 100 quid.
Yeah,
That could be the food shop.
yeah,
Fill the car up for a week. But you could quite easily smash 100 quid on bets and
yeah,
not think nothing of it.
yeah. That's it.
Because
Like,
it's not physical currency.
if I had 100 quid in my wallet, it would last me a month. If I had 100 quid on slots, it'd last me 5 minutes.
Would you say the gambling was the worst thing for you, as in the mental health side? Was that the worst thing that you were dealing with? And it was, you felt trapped in that sort of cycle.
That and drinking.
So that, drinking,
But it went in hand.
hand in hand. You drunk.
Put a 20 quid in the fruity. I had mates, we'd all put in a tenner each. We wouldn't think anything of it, you know. But that, at the time when it really started to spiral, was I was earning good money working in liquid, a lot of spare cash, you know, doing 2 jobs, and I'd have several hundred quid a week, and you wouldn't think about it.
How much with that would you blow gambling?
I could walk 300 quid, 400 quid, 500 quid.
How did that affect how did that affect the people around you?
A lot of them would know about it.
So you were hiding it.
Like back then, I was single.
So pre-family,
Yeah.
did you carry that on?
Yeah, a little bit. So then when I, like I said, working away, we kept our money separately. So I'd always have,
So you could hide it.
yeah.
Okay.
So long as we put in X amount,
Yeah. Pay the bills.
pay the bills.
Did you ever not pay the bills? Did you ever use that money to gamble?
Yeah,
Exactly.
sometimes. And then it would be on the credit card or,
Yeah.
which was just trying to chase and then cover your ass. And
Difficult
yeah,
to do. Like I've touched on it my younger years, and I don't want to use any excuses because ultimately this did fall on my head. But you know, I racked up, serious debt. It's like I think I was close to 30 grand in debt.
yeah,
Young man, and I couldn't see any way out. I was thinking, how am I going to earn my way out of this? Like at the time, I was earning nowhere near.
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm never going to pay this off. And then you start thinking, well, only one way really going to clear this. And then the dark thoughts start creeping
Yeah.
in, and you're like, because you don't see any way out.
no,
And back then, I didn't know of the help there was.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Contacting the people you were owning and setting up payment systems and stuff like that. I didn't know any of that.
we have those conversations on group chats and between ourselves without even realizing someone might be struggling with gambling.
Yeah. What I was trying to bring up earlier about talking to your friends, being I'm quite good in the way of like, if I got no money, and the lads are, oh, we're going down pub, do you want to come? Oh, yeah, but I ain't buying, I got money.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we got you, don't worry. When it's my turn, I got money in the
Yeah.
I'll buy.
Yeah,
But a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I'll come, because they don't want to miss out.
yeah,
And then they might take out 100 quid from the overdraft,
yeah,
and they can't afford to pay that back for another 3 months. Like,
yeah.
it's the spiral being
It's just,
involved.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, just so you're there.
yeah. If someone says to me, like, oh, I've got no money, and if I got an extra, so prime example, on a stag do the other weekend, the lads is a bit short on cash, fighting his own battles, and he was open about it, and he's explained why. I was like, do you know what? When we had Kitty on most of the time. When it's time to chuck 20 in, I'll chuck in 40. And a couple of us all took it in turns. He needed that weekend
Yeah.
with the right people.
You remember that?
Yeah, they like said, like he come back happy, dying but happy.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Quite a few of them when we come back from France are in the same.
like, do you know what I mean? Like, but then, like, I'd rather someone go, I got 20 quid. I've got 80 on me. I'll check 20 in.
Yeah.
I budget.
Because you've been in that boat,
Yeah,
and you don't want other people to feel the same way.
yeah, and I know it's more beneficial for him to be there and coming out than it is to be sat at home being depressive or negative. He's out, we can keep an eye on him and interact with him.
One of the questions we was talking about was silence. knowing there's always, let's say one person, for example, always loud, always happy, and then they're quiet.
Yeah.
And most of your friends would, that's not Shane. Shane's not
Yeah.
probably like that. And registering and spotting and just sending a little message. Mate, you all right? I'm all right. Are you really? No, not mate. Because most people don't ask twice.
Yeah.
They're like, how you doing, mate? Yeah, I'm all right. Oh, all right. See you later then.
Yeah.
You want to talk. You want to open up, but you want them to ask again.
Yeah.
And then most people don't. And they just walk off and you're like, damn, I should have told them I'm not actually doing that well.
Yeah. And I think that we go back to that. You fancy a pint, mate? Oh, yeah, but I'm busy this weekend.
Oh, everyone's busy in there. That's the problem.
And that's could be their cry for help.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is a cry help. Whereas no one's going to word it, mate, can we go down to the pub and have a drink because I'm feeling really down and I need to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
No
So
one's typing that.
no,
Just
so
say,
you don't.
do you want to go for a pint?
Yeah. And I think that's where instead of the no, we go, everything all right?
Yeah. And then they open up. I think we need more of it. More of it. And this is why, like I know you said like the sitting around talking didn't really work for you. It's like I know I would say this because I fundraised for him and I've been a couple of times. It is an amazing charity. Highly recommend it to anyone.
I went myself. I went a fair few times myself.
To man up.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
At Churchdown.
Yeah.
But like I said, it wasn't what I needed.
It's like
And
you
there's
said.
not a.
No, I know it's not a slight. It wasn't for you, and that's fine. And you've got to find what works.
It's what, when I was at the time, I was looking for ways to deal with it. I realised that I had depression, mental health issues, and I was looking for ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
And Man F I went to, and I was like, wasn't me.
You were probably looking for an instant fix.
No, it wasn't even that. I needed to be active.
Yeah. So you found your niche with physical.
Yeah, so when at the time, like you've done with Healthy Men Talk, at the time I was looking into it and I didn't have the mental capacity at the time to finish it, but I was looking for active body, active minds.
Yeah.
So someone I used to speak with a lot about my mental health, she was part of a female charity doing something similar, and they would go camping, they would go walking,
Yeah.
park runs, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Weekends away. And that's what I felt I needed for myself.
So what stopped you? With the channel.
I just didn't have the mental capacity at the time. That was literally, I couldn't put.
What's stopping you now?
For once, I'm being selfish, but I'm giving back in other ways. So I'm doing the karate and I'm making sure everyone that walks through that dojo is welcome.
Yeah.
Having a laugh with them, being silly with them, engaging with them.
Yeah. And that's good. You're giving back. It doesn't have to be a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be trips to the campsites and park runs.
Yeah.
If everyone done a little bit to, like you said, with communities, if everyone done a little bit to help each other, the world would be a better place.
You're not doing things all in one day.
No.
I'm changing what I can with what I can do.
And that is more than enough.
Being a positive influence where I can be with the rugby.
Those kids, mate, they probably think you're the hero, not knowing the struggles that you've had to go through to get where you are. Yeah. And you're already teaching them something that you weren't taught. You're already giving these kids, not just the kids, the adults as well, you're giving them a head start in their journeys.
Yeah.
So we talked about this. We don't give ourselves enough credit, not just as men, but as, I would say, I think it's a very British trait. We brush it off.
Thing is, like,
they praise.
Nothing would make me happier than seeing you walk in with the eldest in that dojo.
Honestly,
and giving it a go.
I'll tell her.
But like, even if you come in yourself, even if you go, actually, you need Shane's hour, and you'll see the difference that just that bit of time together.
Yeah.
So no, you're not very good at gymnastics. Like you're not
amazing at gymnastics.
You look good in a tutu. You'll do
I was going to say I look amazing in the entire.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we spend all our time with our kids, but we don't spend time with our kids.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I need to do this, do this. I'm quite far into my journey of my mental health.
Yeah.
I've been battling my own demons as far back as I can ever remember.
Same.
And I'm at a stage of acceptance. I also know a lot of people don't have that luxury, and they're starting out.
Yeah.
Well, you're starting out with this karate.
Yeah.
Right? You've obviously got to a stage, and you know that the karate and the coaching and everything is Gareth time. You're not dad. You're not husband. You are something outside your normal routine.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
No, I do the questions here.
it,
Go on.
it dawned on me today. When was the last time you sat and played with the kids?
Probably the youngest yesterday.
Instead of just doing the schoolwork.
No.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we were racing around the island because she skates.
Yeah.
She's like a little tomboy, honestly. Yeah, we were playing tag around the island. The middle one, we were doing, she ran and I catch her and I chuck her.
Yeah.
Can't do that with the older one because she's too big. But the older one, and I'll show her my YouTube. And like, they're very different children. They have different needs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do.
No, because I find that before I was like always busy, always tired.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I wasn't always like it. Like, when I had my own business, it was about providing and making sure that the bills are paid and making sure the money's in the house so they can go on the school trips and they can have the bloody KFCs and the Starbucks trips. Like, do you know what I mean? Because kids are gannets, right? Yeah. But when I stopped that, I had more time. I wasn't working weekends.
You're not chasing paperwork on the night time.
I'm not chasing paperwork. So Saturdays, that's family day.
Yeah.
Sunday's chill out day. Everyone does what they want on Sunday. Chill out. If we want to go out and do something, then we will. But there's no pressure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Toby early just sat there playing with his toys. The other week I picked him up from school because he finishes at 15:15, but Henry has after school club. So he finishes at 4. So it's like pointless going anywhere. So we walked down to the park with one of our friends and her little girl and one of the other parents and their girl. And we just stayed in the park. No phone, no nothing. Chasing around, pushing them on the swing, having a laugh. I was like going out and playing football with them.
To you, he's just spending time with them. But
yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Dad's playing with me. Like, oh my God.
But
like,
you feel so tired all the time, like.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There are times, I'm not like it all the time. At times I'll get up from work and I'm shattered. Not tonight, darling. Like,
yeah.
Daddy just needs to sit down and chill out. Oh, come on. And then you feel bad that you didn't.
Yeah.
Could have.
I just want to have a cuddle. Let's just put a film on, or let's just put a...
Yeah, play on the iPad for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, you do mug them off at times. And I think that's okay. Because you have to protect yourself. If you're tired, there's no point giving them 50%. Give them 100% when you can.
Yeah, then like I'm now more aware when I speak to Henry about his feelings. Like, right, let's talk it.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Even now, what's the matter?
Yeah.
So one thing that happened at Christmas, and it's one of those scenes where as a dad, as a man, it was all several emotions all mixed in one.
Yeah.
Dojo in Chosen Hill. We had an end of year party, and I won Student of the Year.
Well,
adults. Well, like there was 2 of us that won it, and now to me that's a big. It's not something I aimed for. It's not something. But like we said, it's that gratitude of well done. You've started less than a year ago. You're now being put through for an instructor's class. You're now doing seniors class. You're now helping out.
There's a recognition.
Recognition. But Henry was jealous. And I was like, okay, how do I deal with this?
Ha.
Yeah. And I was like, right, we don't do that in this family. We're not jealous. But I know you're upset, but I shouldn't have to not enjoy my moment.
You shouldn't have to downplay your achievement.
Yeah. So we come up with why I got it and why he didn't. And why the other young, youth student got it instead of him.
Yeah.
It's like, because he trains harder, he listens more, he helps more. So we sat down, and at the time they gave us our goals for 2025. Sit down, what do you want to achieve in the next year? And I was like, Henry, so what did Daddy do? Well,
above and beyond.
Above and beyond. I helped you. I helped the kids. I helped.
He might not get it now, but growing up, he will.
Yeah.
He'll go, yeah, that had a point. That had a real good point.
So now, like his roles were, I want to be more of a mentor and a buddy.
Oh.
If I said to you, sensei, what do you think?
Uh,
The meaning of a sensei.
to me, I mean, I've watched plenty enough films. It's not a case of who's the biggest, baddest, and artist. It's not just literally about the physical side of it. It's also the mentorship, the leadership.
So a lot of people think sensei, oh, you're the leader, you're the black belt, whatever.
Yeah,
The literal meaning is those who have gone before. It's anyone who's just slightly ahead of you. So you can teach the person the pitfalls, the mistakes. So I said to Henry, as you progress, you need cleaner and better in your techniques. So when you're helping people in their katas or kumite, when you're
Show them the
sparring,
right way.
don't just go full in, help,
Yeah.
teach. If you've been taught this, show the person who hasn't been taught it.
Yeah, don't just be like, oh, I can do it, you can't.
Mm.
Let me show you how to do it.
Yeah.
I wish you'd said that earlier. It's about the message to your boys. That's a really good characteristic to show the boys and for them to look up and see you as a role model.
Yeah.
If you were the Gareth 20 years ago that you are now, would you think your kids would look up to you?
I don't think I'd have been awake when they were awake.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's important to recognize as well the journey that you've had to go through, the despair, the depression, the damn right dirty fucking times to get where you are. And you're not complete. Like, you don't conquer depression. You just learn to live with it better.
One thing I'd say, and I'll say this cautiously, is I wish I dealt with situations better in the past. And I wish, as a man, I had found a way to do something to stop it.
Yeah. Let's flip it. Let's look at people who commit suicide.
Yeah.
Now, you could sit with them and talk to them and be the best friend and you never leave their side, and then they do it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
When they got it in their head, they're going to do it.
Exactly. And that's the issue. And if you look at high-profile celebrities,
Yeah.
one of them that always sticks in my head is Robin Williams. On paper, looking at him, you think he's the happiest man on earth.
Yeah.
But he had his demons.
Chester Bennington, lead singer of Linkin Park,
Exactly. You look at all these people and you think, you should be on top of the world.
Taylor Hawkins, drummer of Foo Fighters, you know.
And all these people, thing they have in common is depression.
Yeah.
Depression is hidden. We don't walk around with
No, we don't have a sign.
on our head saying, I'm depressed.
Going back to what we were saying about being a man, it's that being the provider, being the carer, protective.
Yeah. And when you can't do those things.
Yeah. But we hear it all the time as men. Oh, why haven't you took the missus out for dinner lately? Oh, you've got a planet. Valentine's. You got to do the flowers. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Grand gestures.
Yeah. It's like, okay, but what about,
What about you?
yeah.
Who's planning your trips? Who's
You-
planning your little...
Do you know what?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it completely. I get it completely. The man has to be the romantic one.
We
The
have-
man has to show the gestures.
Yeah, I know the women like look after the kids, work full time, this, that, the other, but so do we. Like
Yeah.
we do as much as our generation of men have never done more than we've done more than any previous generation put together. pretty
Spending
much.
more, and they've done reports on that. Men are spending more time with their children now.
We're
Ever have.
helping around the house more. We're doing as many chores. We're doing as many school runs when we can. This, that, the other. All right, depending on work situations and all of that.
World's changing.
But
World's changing.
we're doing as much, if not more, in every respect. But we're not getting any more fancy.
Thankless job. And I think nowadays men are just getting battered in submission. We're not good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see it everywhere you go. Social media, on TV.
Everything's a red flag.
Everything's a red
Well, what do you mean Shane wanted that for Christmas? What do you mean?
Yeah.
He wanted you to do that for his birthday.
Yeah.
If you turn around and said, I want to go Paris for the weekend,
for the girls.
but well, no, for her birthday, for you,
Okay, yeah,
do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She could, I want this handbag, and as a man, we're pre-programmed to do what we can to get it.
Yeah. We'll make it work.
But if you turn around and said, oh, actually, there's a £400 driver that I want.
No chance.
No chance.
We got to pay this, we got to pay that.
Oh, do you know what? The lads are doing Benidorm for a weekend, or I really like that barbecue.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Uh,
I think in relationships, the issue is there's roles in relationships, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
The trick is, and where me and the missus do so well, is it's never no.
No.
It's, oh, I'm going to go with, all right, if that's what you want to do. You know whether we can afford it or not.
Yeah.
If you're choosing to go and do something,
Yeah. It's never.
do you know what I mean?
We never say no.
You
Like,
never know.
but we also know like the romantic one in the couple, the sensible one.
It's me. On the romantic one, like, honest and truth, Mrs. like, I don't think she has a
Same.
romantic bone in her body.
Same.
But I accept that. I understand that. And instead of like fighting it or being like, you don't do nothing for me or whatever. And this is what I mean by, and I think this is where you're trying to get at relationship. You know your partner.
Oh yeah.
And instead of trying to change them, say, oh, you don't ever do nothing like that, accept it. And the moment you accept that's what they are, you're going to live a peaceful life.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. Then, like, prime example, Katie went and got her hair done last week.
Good.
Yeah. And one of my best friends' missus is her hairdresser. So they had a conversation there. Gareth and Ryan need to organise a double date for us. I'm like,
You do it.
you're sat together. You're sat together. You have our diaries.
Yeah.
Like,
You know if I'm busy or not.
Katie has the family diary. I'd have to go to her diary to check. So why don't you go, when I get home, I will check my diary
Yeah.
and we'll do it on this date or that date. Don't tell me to organise it. So I go, right, we're doing it on the first weekend of May. We're busy that weekend. All right, we'll do it on the second. Busy that. Why are you asking me to plan it? You have the diary. You speak to the woman as well. Like, why they can't do it themselves, God knows.
Let's wrap this up. So we had a question from Robin. He actually forwarded it to me because during the interview he could not think of anything. All right, and he'd come up with this nonsense, and it just didn't make sense, and we was taking the mick out of him, and it was all good fun. But one of the questions that he wanted to ask was, when you have a trigger moment,
Yeah.
so something's triggered you, how quickly do you deal with that trigger?
So sometimes it's instantaneous. Like you said, sometimes you're feeling a bit down, pissed off, putting on a certain soundtrack, certain album, just let the mood change. And
Let it come naturally.
yeah, sometimes like I have a very varied music taste.
Mhm.
So sometimes you like bit of metal, bit of like old school Linkin Park,
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit,
Yeah.
great stuff. Other times go for a bit of old school
Yeah.
early 2000s trance and
Yeah.
dance and, you know.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I need to switch off, so I go, do you know what? I'm training tonight. And then I can feel myself triggering like a bigger trigger. And I'm like, babe, I need a night out.
At your worst, you recognise you need time with the lads.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
So now's your chance to pop a little question out there for the next guy to come along. The floor's yours. Pop your question.
So looking back at what up to me, do you feel you give back enough?
Do you feel you
You do
give back enough?
enough in whatever you do, however you can, whether it's work, hobbies. Are you one of those that's just if it's football, turn up and expect everything to be done? Or are you there volunteering, helping out and being present and helping?
I like it. Do you give back enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Anytime.
And really some insightful, open discussions there. I think a lot of people will take some lessons from that.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of it, is to listen to people's stories and people to resonate and listen to how you dealt with it. And hopefully people take something from it. But appreciate you coming into the studio today. And I've been Shane Mitchell. This is How Few Men Talk. And again, thank you very much, Gareth.
Anytime.